Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.
Let me tell you something. We are barely a week and a half into spring training, and the Boston Red Sox are already giving us everything we could have asked for and then some. We've got a kid hitting bombs in his very first spring game. We've got a guy who spent all offseason being rumored out of town, absolutely torching baseballs into the Florida sky. We've got a rotation battle that nobody really knows how it ends. And we've got a fan base that is absolutely starving for October baseball after last year's early exit. So buckle up, Red Sox Nation, because today we are breaking it all down. Every question, every roster battle, every underrated player who's about to make noise. And by the end of this video, you are going to feel very good about the 2026 Boston Red Sox. Let's start where all the noise has been lately, the fifth starter spot. And listen, this is one of those debates that gets people fired up on social media every single offseason. But right now in camp, it is legitimately wide open and legitimately fascinating. Connolly Early came out in his first spring outing and was absolutely filthy. 2 innings, no hits, no earned runs, 1 strikeout, 1 walk. For a young pitcher who barely cracked 30 innings last season, that is not a small thing. When you watch him throw, you can see why the organization is excited. The stuff is real. But here's the thing, and this is the part that people don't want to hear. Being exciting in spring training and being ready for a major league rotation on opening day are two very different conversations. Early is talented, absolutely, but he still has refinements to make, and the Red Sox pitching infrastructure, which Craig Breslow has completely rebuilt from the ground up over the past few years, is not going to rush him. The smart money says he starts the year in Worcester, continues to develop, and comes up mid-season ready to contribute in a serious way. That is not a knock on him. That's the Red Sox, being responsible with one of their best young arms. The same goes for Peyton Toll, who, if we're being honest, probably needs a little more seasoning than Early does before he's pitching in the big leagues every 5 days. So who gets that fifth spot? The name you need to know is Johan Oviedo. The Red Sox traded for him this offseason. They speak about him with genuine enthusiasm in the front office, and every indication coming into camp was that he was going to be given every opportunity to claim that rotation spot as his own. Oviedo gives you major league experience. He gives you a different profile than what the Red Sox already have at the top of their rotation, and frankly, the front office wouldn't have traded for him if they didn't see him as at minimum a viable number 5 starter. Add to that the Patrick Sandoval situation, and we'll get to him in a minute, and the picture becomes clearer. Oviedo is your opening day 5. Bank on it. Now, let's talk about Patrick Sandoval, because this is a name that keeps coming up in trade conversations, and it deserves a real discussion. Sandoval is coming back from Tommy John surgery. He missed all of 2025. He is still working his way back, and at this point in spring training, his status is genuinely up in the air. Here's the fascinating thing about Patrick Sandoval, though. If a team loses a starting pitcher to injury, which happens every single year without fail, Sandoval becomes an incredibly attractive piece. He is a controllable, left-handed starting pitcher with a track record of being effective at the major league level before the injury. Those guys don't grow on trees. The Red Sox could absolutely use him as an asset, and the bet here is that at some point, between now and the trade deadline, Patrick Sandoval gets moved. It might even happen before opening day if the right team comes calling. Keep your eyes on this one, because it is more than likely to happen. All right, now for the story everyone in Red Sox Nation has been waiting to talk about, and that is Jarren Duran. Because here's the thing. All winter long, people were speculating about whether Duran was going to get traded. There was an outfield logjam. There were questions about whether he fit the team's long-term plans. There was genuine concern that maybe his mechanics had gotten too complicated, that he was thinking too much at the plate, that the guy who had flashes of brilliance in 2024 with 21 home runs had somehow gotten lost inside his own head by 2025 when he dipped to 16. And then spring training started. and Jarren Duran started hitting the absolute cover off the baseball. We are not talking about soft singles to the opposite field. We are talking about 401-foot bombs. We are talking about 409-foot shots. We are talking about the man hitting 3 home runs in 2 games, going 7 for 12 with a 2.167 OPS in his first 5 Grapefruit League appearances and doing it against both right-handed and left-handed pitching, which is huge because the lefty struggles were a real thing last year. He hit a laser off Chris Sale, former teammate by the way, now pitching for Atlanta, and then the very next day went out and hit 2 more off the Twins. Alex Cora basically said it himself. Duran looks like a different hitter. He's on time. When he's on time and swinging at pitches in the strike zone, he hits the ball hard. That is baseball's version of saying the thing is working, people. Here's the really interesting angle on Duran that doesn't get talked about enough. He has always been a heady player, maybe too heady at times, prone to getting in his own way mentally, especially when things get tough on the field. And the Red Sox plan this year is to primarily use him as the designated hitter, which means he doesn't have to split his focus between offense and tracking fly balls. He just has to show up, lock in mentally, and hit. For a guy whose mental side of the game has been the question mark, that is an enormous gift. If Jarren Duran can be the 2024 version of himself for a full season, or even better than that, with a clear role as the DH and a simplified mechanical approach, the Red Sox lineup becomes genuinely scary. He is penciled in to hit third behind Roman Anthony and Trevor Story, right in front of Willson Contreras. That is a real middle of the order, folks. Speaking of the infield, let's have the Marcelo Mayer conversation, because the internet has been in a minor frenzy about this. People saw Alex Cora's quotes, "He hasn't earned it yet, nothing is guaranteed, he's going to have to earn the spot." And some fans started spiraling a little bit. Take a breath. Here's what actually happened. Mayer wasn't even playing in the first week of Grapefruit League games because the team was ramping him up carefully after his wrist injury from last year. They want to protect him. They want to make sure he's fully healthy before they throw him into live game action. And then the second they did put him in a game, Marcelo Mayer homered. First spring game, home run. That is not the swing of a player who isn't ready. That is the swing of a guy who spent his entire offseason working and showing up ready to claim what should be his job. As of right now, barring something dramatic, Marcelo Mayer is going to be your opening day second baseman. The question isn't really whether he makes the roster. That's basically a lock at this point. The real question is whether he starts on opening day or whether the Red Sox go with Andrew Monasterio in a lefty-on-lefty matchup situation. That is genuinely worth paying attention to as spring unfolds. And that brings us to Andrew Monasterio, who might be the most underrated name in this entire camp. The Red Sox got him in the Caleb Durbin trade, and every day that passes, that trade looks like an absolute steal. Durbin is already locked in as your everyday third baseman or second baseman, depending on how the Mayer situation shakes out. But Monasterio is this incredibly versatile, toolsy player who can play all over the infield and who has been genuinely impressive in the limited spring action we've seen so far. And here's the wild part. Romy Gonzalez is dealing with shoulder inflammation. If Romy starts the year on the injured list, Monasterio slides right into an everyday role. And based on what we've seen so far, he might be so good that he never gives the job back. We could genuinely be looking at a Wally Pipp situation where an injury opens a door and the guy who steps through it is too good to bench when the original player comes back. Watch Monasterio very closely this spring. He could be the breakout name that casual Red Sox fans have never heard of but will be talking about by August. Now let's address Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, because the question of what to do with him, given that the Red Sox now have so many infield options, is a fair one. The key to understanding IKF's role is understanding who he's actually here to back up. He's not the insurance policy for Marcelo Mayer or Caleb Durbin or even Andrew Monasterio. He is the insurance policy for Trevor Story and Willson Contreras. The Red Sox don't have a player they're truly comfortable with at shortstop outside of Mayer, and they need depth behind Contreras at catcher until Tristan Casas is ready to contribute in some capacity. IKF is your multi-purpose veteran safety valve. He's a $6 million one-year deal, meaning even if he barely plays, the number gets more palatable as the season progresses. Don't expect him to be moved anytime soon. He's there for a reason, even if that reason isn't obvious every single day. And then there's Tristan Casas, who honestly is the saddest storyline in this whole spring. The guy ruptured his patellar tendon last May. He has been working hard to get back. He's been running. He's been taking grounders at first base, but he has not been cleared for team activities. He is nowhere near ready for game action, and opening day is simply not going to happen for him. What Casas said himself was that he'd be doing baseball activities at his own pace without being part of the structured team workout. And honestly, that language tells you everything you need to know. He's not going to be ready, and that's okay. Willson Contreras is your first baseman. That is not going to change, even when Casas gets healthy. What Casas becomes for this team later in the year, maybe a DH option, maybe a platoon piece, maybe a late-inning defensive replacement, that's the conversation to have when we actually get there. Right now, the only goal is making sure he's healthy and that his knee holds up long-term. Here's the big-picture question that someone really put on the table. Is Craig Breslow safe, no matter what happens this season? And honestly, this is worth engaging with seriously, because yes, Breslow has taken enormous criticism, sometimes justified, sometimes not, for some of his moves. But look at what he has done with the pitching development infrastructure in Boston. When he took over, the farm system was hitter-heavy with almost no pitching prospects of consequence. Today, the Red Sox farm system is pitcher-first. Every pitcher who comes through their system seems to develop in ways that other organizations simply cannot replicate. Andrew Bailey and the pitching development staff have been extraordinary, and that starts at the top with Breslow's vision. The Red Sox did make the playoffs last year. It didn't end the way anyone wanted, but they were in October baseball. The ownership group sees the trajectory. Breslow is safe this year almost certainly and probably has a long leash into next offseason as well. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. Are there moves that deserve criticism? Yes, but the system he has built is genuinely impressive, and blowing that up right now would be a mistake. Before we wrap up, let's have one more fun conversation. The greatest Red Sox moment of all time. And this is legitimately subjective because it depends entirely on when you grew up and what you lived through as a fan. The 2018 World Series was a masterpiece of a championship run, a dominant team from April all the way through October, ending with that beautiful Game 5 clincher in Los Angeles. The 2013 championship had that feel-good redemption narrative coming off the marathon bombing. The 2007 team swept the World Series in 4 games and featured a Big Papi who was absolutely transcendent. But the correct answer, the objectively correct answer that no real baseball fan can argue against, is 2004, breaking an 86-year drought, becoming the only team in baseball history to come back from 3 games down in a series to win 4 straight, doing it against the Yankees of all teams. Doing it for the fans who had waited their entire lives, and for the ones who never got to see it. 2004 is not just the greatest Red Sox moment, it's one of the greatest moments in the history of American professional sports. Full stop. If you were old enough to remember it, you will never forget where you were. And if you weren't, go watch that series right now because it is absolutely electric even 2 decades later. Red Sox Nation, this spring has all the energy of something special brewing, a rotation with legitimate top-end talent and young arms ready to step up, an infield that might be the most interesting it has been in years, an outfield with 4 starters who can all genuinely hit, and a designated hitter who looks like he came back from the offseason possessed. The question is no longer whether the Red Sox are good. The question is how good they are and whether they can finish what they've started. Opening day is coming. Worcester's finest prospects are lurking. The World Baseball Classic is sending some of Boston's best players onto the world stage, and the conversation is just getting started. If you enjoyed this video, do us a favor and smash that like button. It genuinely helps more Red Sox fans find this channel and join the conversation. Drop a comment below and tell me your greatest Red Sox moment of all time, because I want to hear from you. And if you are not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button right now. We are so close to 10,000 subscribers, and every single one of you matters. New videos are dropping constantly as spring training heats up, and you do not want to miss a thing. Until next time, go Sox!